hold your hand like your brother. Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm here with Brett Meiselas because Ben became a daddy to beautiful Jimena. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful baby. And I know, each and every one of our brigaders and all of those of us who love Ben, love him dearly, we're so happy for him and Sochi. I mean, just beautiful. So we're going to give him a little bit of time off. Not too much. I don't buy this bullshit, right? Where he's going to be changing diapers and so on. He could tell me, oh, I'm helping. Ben's not helping. And so we're here with his better half, one of his other two brothers. We're here with Brett. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you, Michael. You know, it was great to be here earlier with you in the week. I think we had a really good time. I think the audience liked the change. I'm not saying they like me better than Ben, but I'm saying I think they.
No, I'm going to say that they do.
I think they enjoyed. I think they enjoyed the fresh face. You know, I think they enjoyed the fresh face.
Look, you don't dance like Jordy does. Let me be. You know, during the commercials and all, nobody dances like Jordy. But no, we're happy to have you here with us. There's so much to talk about, so let's just jump straight into this shit. All right, let me begin by starting with what we will call the Trump grift. In fact, it's not us who's calling it. It's the whole world who's calling it, from his NFTs to his bullshit business cards, that everything with him is a gigantic grift. And I think the first thing that we really have to go with is, obviously, let's start with a photo of the Truth promo. You can't make this stuff up. So here we go. Donald J. Trump has now entered, amongst other things, the official Trump watch collection is now here. Yay! And these watches are truly special. You're going to love them. Would make a great Christmas gift. Don't wait. They will go fast. Get your Trump watch right now and go to, I'm not even going to say the website, and so on, right? This is, and by the way, before we take that picture, put that back up for one quick sec, if you would. All right? I want you to see 727 retweets, that means reposts, with 2,400 likes. Not a lot of attention. However, Brett, I would like for you to do me a big favor and explain a little bit about these wonderful watches, like the cost. This one that you see there is called the Tourbillon. All right? And this watch by Coinky Dink happens to be, we're not bullshitting you, $100,000. All right. So if you have $100,000 just laying around and you got nothing to do with it, I mean, better off to give it to a homeless or to give it to some charitable cause. Nope. 100,000. Here's my good friend Ron Filipkowski, who's going to be on my Mea Culpa podcast. Here is the Grifter King with his latest scam, watches for $100,000 each. I mean, you got to go to the watch ad. And I don't think there's anything funnier than this.
Special. I think you're going to love it. My new Trump watches. We're doing quite a number with watches, and the quality to me is very important. The Trump Victory Tourbillon. This isn't just any watch. It's one of the best watches made. It's a tourbillon watch with almost 200 grams of gold and more than 100 real diamonds. That's a lot of diamonds. I love gold. I love diamonds. We all do. Only 147 of these extraordinary watches will ever exist in the world, and owning one puts you in a very exclusive club. I have watch number one, and I'm going to keep it. It's mine, and that's the way I want to have it. Each watch is numbered and extremely rare, a true collector's item, and it includes a personal letter signed by me. Get your Trump watch right now. Go to gettrumpwatches.com. It's Trump time.
Can we just step back for a second and just say how insane that absolutely is? And can we just think for one moment if we saw President Biden making infomercials for new products like every 24 hours, one more ridiculous than the next? And I can't help but notice that this sort of flies in the face of Donald Trump's whole, the economy is crashing, the world is burning. The guy is selling a watch to his followers for $100,000. Like, this is the craziest shit I've ever heard. You know, I will say there is a cheaper model. If you want to get the cheaper model for $500, you could do that as well. But this guy right now is grifting like there is no tomorrow. Like, I don't know if he's worried about his future legal issues and losing this thing, and so he's like, we better make all this money while we can right now. I'm not sure what the actual deal is there. You know, I did speak to Ben earlier today when Ben was in the hospital, and Ben was watching, you know, he's being forced to watch like the normal news coverage of everything. And Ben's like, Brett, I can't even tell you. They were talking about this watch thing as if it's like a real story. They were like, yes, and Donald Trump is out with his new collection. And he was like, well, how are they not saying how insane this is? Like, they are just sane washing this and acting like this is normal for a former president or somebody running for the president of the United States to do.
I mean, this is so funny because he's like, you will be part of an exclusive club. Yeah, an exclusive club.
I know, I'm not sure if we lost Cohen, but no, I mean, the entire thing that we have here also is like, and one of the things that concerns me is this just some sort of giant kind of money laundering operation where foreigners could buy favor with Donald Trump? Oh, you want to talk to me? Oh, have you bought my watch? Have you seen the watches that I sell for $100,000? Well, maybe if you buy my watch, you'll get an extra in with Donald Trump over here and we could have a little chat. I mean, I think we have to acknowledge that there's always sort of another kind of devious, kind of idea that Trump is cooking up behind the scenes. And, you know, the menswear guy on Twitter, I'm not sure if you guys know him, commented on this watch sales. And he said, I don't know how anyone could do this to their supporters. This crappy $100,000 watch is a halo product to sell even crappier $500 and $800 non-Swiss steel and gold plated watches with cheap automatic movement. They play you as a sucker. The goal here is to make money, not treat people with respect and offer them something of genuine value. Buy watches from established watch brands or independent watchmakers who care more about watches than money. This sort of behavior is genuinely disgusting. $100,000 for a movement as smooth as the brain. Who buys this absurd thing? Yet another grift. And Cohen, as you exited before, one of the things I was saying is this also seems ripe for corruption, right? You have this product that he's selling $100,000. Who's going to probably be the people who are actually buying this? People who want to curry favor with Donald Trump. And you know that he is transactional in that way. Would you agree?
Absolutely. You know, when he turned around and he said before, of course, Spectrum, which is the shittiest fucking group on the planet with their lousy Wi-Fi. Hard to imagine. I'm here in Manhattan, right? And all of a sudden, it's like it constantly goes in and out. I'm in the middle of Manhattan. This isn't the middle of the desert. Suffice it to say what I was saying. Imagine you talk about $100,000 watch on probably a $15 or $20 movement on it. This is not a Patek Philippe. This is not an Audemars. This is not a Rolex. This is a Trump watch. But when he says you will be part of an exclusive club, yeah, an exclusive club of the stupidest fucking people on the planet. You see, imagine this. What does it tell you when you see one of these idiots with their ugly red hats, right? And of course, we know it's big and ugly to hide the lobotomy scars, but it tells you wearing that hat is a MAGA racist, sexist, misogynist, xenophobe, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, anti-Semite. Now, when you see a $100,000 watch on the same hand as the guy wearing that ugly MAGA hat, you just know that this idiot has money. I mean, that's all that you know, that this is an idiot, and exactly as Brett said, who's looking to somehow figure how to curry favor with Trump, because nobody is buying this watch in order to pass it down as a family heirloom for generations to come. You know,
Cohen, you see this? So Melania Trump did an interview earlier today, and we have some clips. If we have time later, we'll play some of these Melania Trump clips because I have to get your take on it. But I'll just read you one of her quotes. This was literally today. So the same day that Donald Trump released a watch that he is selling for $100,000, Melania Trump went on TV and she said, quote, "The country is suffering. People are not able to buy usual necessities for their families. Like, the irony is just staring you in the face right there. And Donald Trump just also, like, the guy just seems like a complete and total mess these days. Like, I know we've seen him in the last episode. We were speaking about a lot of his kind of cognitive issues that he was experiencing at that Georgia event. And he was really no better at this North Carolina event the other day. Do we have these photos, first of all, of what Donald Trump looked like at this North Carolina event? These were posted by Ron Filipkowski. And for the audio listeners, I'm just going to say, dude is looking quite rough. Here's a second angle of him. I mean, each picture gets worse than the next. And he goes to these rallies, and you know that his kind of advisors and people are like begging him to stay on message, right? Just hammer home, be normal, right? Try to be a little bit normal. And he continues to be just fixated on things that I think are driving him nuts about Kamala Harris. And I think the whole debate is still haunting him. Like, he can't go a day without mentioning this debate. And he also can't go a day now without mentioning that Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's, and he's like fixated on this fact because Kamala Harris did not put her McDonald's experience on her resume when she wanted to become a prosecutor, because who does that? I did not put my pizza delivery experience in high school on my resume when I was getting a job in the industry out here. I mean, that's not what you do. But like, here is Donald Trump. Like, he's been doing this every day. I just want to specify. Here's Donald Trump at this event in North Carolina, a swing state that is super tight in the polls. He's up in some, he's down in some. He's dealing with this complete scandal with Mark Robinson, his in black Nazi that he endorsed. And Donald Trump is ranting about Kamala Harris and McDonald's. You can play this one.
Because your opponent almost every day seems to be talking.
The press refuses to write it. We don't want to hear Kamala's fake promises, even something like she worked very long and hard hours over French fries at McDonald's. She'd never worked at McDonald's. It was a fake story. It was a fake story. The press now refuses to write it because it's so, there's a very simple one. She said she worked at McDonald's and she didn't. Not highly sophisticated, not complicated. It was a lie. She never worked at McDonald's over the hot French fries. I think I'm going to a McDonald's in 2 weeks, actually. And I'm going to work the French fries because I will have worked longer and harder at McDonald's than she did if I do that even for half an hour.
In 2 weeks is going
working over any hot French fry stove. Now, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you're going to be eating French fries that are orange. I mean, with that shit dripping off his fucking face. But meanwhile, here's the crazier thing, Brett, because it was one stupid and lying statement by Trump after another there in Mint Hill. And I just want to jump into another area where he just lies. And it goes right back to the big grift of the watch. The interest rate cuts that Donald Trump talks about, making claims that the economy is really, really bad. Quite frankly, it's really bad. So play that clip.
She didn't support domestic manufacturing. She killed 24,000 U.S. manufacturing jobs. In the last month alone, we lost 24,000 jobs. There is a reason for the interest rate cut from the Fed. Big part of that reason is that our economy is doing really, really badly. Kamala.
Imagine, Brett, if you and I spend about an hour or so and we take all of the grift that Trump is right now hawking, from his ugly $400 sneakers, the assassination sneakers, all the way to his playing cards, to his NFTs, to his Liberty coin. Now he's in the crypto business. I mean, it is one grift after another. Think about it this way too. In order to be considered for a chance to win a lunch with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, as if that's what you want to do, you need to buy all 100 cards. And each of the 100 cards is something like $75. So to the MAGA morons, at $7,500 that you're going to be in for NFTs, which, by the way, his first round of NFTs now have a value of 1 cent each. 1 cent. So before you paid $99, and maybe it is $99 still, which then would bring you, I mean, it's truly unbelievable. All right.
Well,
you got to be in for like 10 grand in order to be considered to win a chance to dine with the Donald. This is the grift. But yet our country, our economy is really, really bad.
Trump should be thanking President Biden and Vice President Harris, I think, every single day that they, oversaw the recovery that they did so that people are able to spend all this money on all these crappy Trump products that he sells day in and day out, sinking their life savings into things like DJT stock, which continues to sink. And we're also just getting word while we're taping this that a major Trump media shareholder just dumped after market 7.5 million shares of their DJT stock. So expect that thing tomorrow when the market's open.
Did they announce who it was?
It's a shareholder UAV. I'm not sure who UAV is. I need to dig into it. But the shareholder is UAV, whose managing member is a former Apprentice contestant, Andrew Latinsky. Andy Latinsky. Yeah. So he just dropped a whole bunch of his shares. So like, this is what's going to happen. The people who are going to be stuck with the bag are going to be those Trump supporters who praise him. And I actually been seeing a lot of comments going. I was on Truth Social yesterday reading a lot of the comments, and they were blaming like liberals for the crash. They were blaming Democrats for the crash, and they couldn't take their personal responsibility of realizing that maybe I shouldn't have put my life savings in it with this guy, that he lies about everything. Of course, a topic that Donald Trump frequently lies about is the election. And on any given day, he could also be saying different things. And at this Mint Hill, North Carolina speech, he was once again speaking about the 2020 election and whether he lost or didn't lose. But here he once again appeared to admit that he, quote, lost by a whisker. We could play this one if we have it.
Getting ready to do it, and then a lot of bad things happened. We did much better, by the way, in the election of 2020 than we did in 2016. Just remember that. Millions and millions of votes more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. But they beat us by a whisker. They beat us just by a little whisker. He beat us from the basement.
And Cohen, I want to play one more clip in a second.
Before Brett, we play that clip. I think we really just have to dissect what just took place there. There's two statements that are made by Trump in that. One, as you said, we lost by a whisker. He is acknowledging that they lost, which means that the big lie he's been promoting all this time is nothing but a big lie. But then he goes on to do even more. He turns around and he fakes the whole thing. And that's the part that I just find completely just irritating, that this man who can so easily just lie in front of a camera to the American people, forget about these idiots that are applauding it, right? He's just lying to them, and they, for whatever the reason might be, believe that what he's saying is we lost, but we didn't lose. I'm very confused with which one is it?
And I want to ask you, Michael, and I want to ask our Political Beatdown audience who are watching live in the comments right now, did you hear any sort of sarcasm in Donald Trump's voice there? Or did he sound like he always sounds? Like, to me, I'm not going to put my finger on the scale here. Let me know. Did you see a hint of sarcasm in Donald Trump's words? Because not a hint. Now, let me remind you what Donald Trump said. He was asked about using this exact phrase during his debate with Vice President Kamala Harris, which maybe he just wants to black out because he got so annihilated in that debate and it's shameful for him. But this is what he said when asked about this during the debate. Let's check this out.
To focus truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all. I said that sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
Oh, did I say that? Oh, I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, what a great go-to line. And by the way, when he turns around and he says, that we got more votes than any sitting president. And so here's the problem with that line. and why you know that like so much that comes out and emanates from that gaping anus under Donald's nose, right? You know that it is a blatant lie. Joe Biden beat him by 9 million votes or something like that, or 10 million votes, whatever it is. He lost the popular vote. So you did not get the most amount. Had you gotten the most amount of votes, you would have won the election. But it's, again, he needs to come up with an excuse on why he said that he lost by a whisker. I don't know, maybe he had a momentary lapse of lying and decided that he was just going to tell the truth for a quick second. I don't know what was behind it. Nothing with Trump makes any sense at all, including his nonsensical comments regarding Ukraine. You hear that, Brett? You hear what he was talking about as it relates to Ukraine? Boy, does he have a hatred for Zelenskyy. In fact, I saw Lev Parnas today. We spent a couple hours together.
Oh, no way.
Lev, yeah. Me, Lev, his wife, Svetlana, and we were with Stephanie Wolkoff, who used to be Melania's chief of staff. And we were sitting and we were talking about it. Boy, wait till you see the stuff that's going to be coming out. But Donald has a true hatred for Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He hates Ukraine. And you got to ask yourself why. And the answer is because he needs to kiss the ass of Vladimir Putin. For whatever the reason might be, that's what he needs. When he starts even talking about the deaths in Ukraine, it doesn't make any sense at all. Play that clip.
Includes many Russian soldiers are dead. A deal could have been made. There wouldn't have been one person that died, and there wouldn't have been one golden tower laying shattered on its side. A deal could have been made if we had a competent president instead of a president that egged it all on. And Biden and Kamala allowed this to happen by feeding Zelenskyy money and munitions like no country has ever seen before. Every time he came to our country, he'd walk away with $60 billion. He's probably the greatest salesman on earth. But now Ukraine is running out of soldiers.
And it's just lie after lie. And, you know, Cohen, he's so transactional. We were saying with the watches, he's so transactional. So the thing that has especially set Donald Trump off this week, for those who don't know, is that President Zelenskyy of Ukraine is in the United States for the UN. And President Zelenskyy was speaking before the UN. He met with Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House today. I want to play those clips for you in just a bit. But Zelenskyy also, one of his first stops was to Pennsylvania, where he met with Governor Josh Shapiro. And one of the things Zelenskyy wanted to do was he wanted to go to where they were manufacturing some of the weapons that Ukraine is getting, to thank the workers personally for their efforts in helping Ukraine defend off Russian aggression. And so because Zelenskyy was in Pennsylvania with Governor Shapiro, who Donald Trump views as a surrogate of the Kamala Harris campaign, he viewed this as some sort of like election interference that Zelenskyy was participating in. And he got all of his goons also to start attacking Zelenskyy for this reason. And he, by the way, Trump was able to meet with Zelenskyy as well. They had a meeting set up and he ended up canceling it because Zelenskyy met with Shapiro. And then he had his goons in Congress like Mike Johnson write a letter to Zelenskyy demanding, and how familiar, by the way, does this sound like to how things were during the Trump administration? He had Mike Johnson write a letter to try to strong arm Zelenskyy into firing or demanding that the ambassador to Ukraine be fired because of Zelenskyy's trip to the United States. Mm-hmm. And then he was basically threatening Zelenskyy in the future as to how a President Donald Trump in the future would react in helping Zelenskyy. I mean, the whole thing is transactional. It goes back to that exact same quid pro quo that we all witnessed and heard about, and that Donald Trump got impeached for the first time. I do want to play those clips of Vice President Kamala Harris. We'll get to those in a bit. I do also want to speak a little bit more about this just deranged speech by Donald Trump in Mint Hill, North Carolina, where he continued to push these debunked lies about the residents of Springfield, about those Haitian migrants, just completely despicable stuff. If we have this, let's play it.
Kamala should have closed the border years ago, and we wouldn't have hostile takeovers of Springfield, Ohio, Aurora, Colorado, where they're actually going in with massive machine gun type equipment. They're going in with guns that are beyond even military scope, and they're taking over apartment buildings. They're taking over real estate. They're in the real estate development business. Congratulations.
Just deranged, and it's endangering people's lives out there.
What the hell is he talking about? Imagine this. First of all, he goes from Springfield, Ohio to Aurora, Colorado in the split of a second. I don't understand what he's weaving in that specific comment, but the one that really troubled me even more is the argument that these Venezuelans are now in possession of guns, of technology that is far greater than what our military has. And so I'm scratching my head and I'm saying to myself, did they maybe build some sort of, like in the movie The Terminator, I'll take the 9mm scope with the infrared plasma rifle, right? Or that they're turning around with some sort of a photon torpedo or some sort of a laser, like out of Star Trek, a phaser. I don't understand what he's talking about. Did they make something out of PVC piping and then all of a sudden they're using these futuristic weapons, right? Maybe it's out of Iron Man or the Avengers, right? Where they're using, the Tesseract in order to develop some sort of a weapon. I don't know what this idiot is watching at night. He needs to stay away from Marvel movies because he's making crazy stuff up, the lunatic. And then worse than that, the worst is that the people in the audience believe everything that Donald Trump says. If Donald Trump said, Brett, that the moon is made of blue cheese, I talk about this on my YouTube channel all the time, the Michael Cohen Show. I did this whole fucking funny shit onto it. If Donald said that the moon is made of blue cheese, people will fight you to the death telling you that the moon is made of cheese. And you say, no, it's not true. You know that the moon is made of rock. Donald Trump said that the moon is made of cheese, and therefore I want me some of that cheese. And I understand that Donald Trump is actually selling that cheese on his Donald Trump
That's
network.
the thing, right? Because they repeat it back, and then they use the fact that his followers repeat it back as, look, people are talking about it. Yeah, people are talking about it because you've brainwashed them into speaking about it. But what I like is that these immigrant groups are rising up, and they are fighting back. We saw this Haitian nonprofit file criminal charges against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance over their Springfield statements. And so it's this group, this nonprofit is called Haitian Bridge Alliance, and they brought charges on behalf of the organization. And what they are asking is they're asking for a court to affirm that there is probable cause that Trump and Vance committed crimes in Ohio, and they want the court to issue arrest warrants for both of them. So we will be, staying on top of this. I do want to speak about Vice President Harris's, her with Volodymyr Zelenskyy today. She had some powerful words. I want to speak about her speech at the Economic Forum in Pittsburgh. And maybe if we have some time, we'll get into a little bit of this bizarre Melania Trump interview and her grift. The grift is just all around. And we got a whole lot more to talk about.
Family affair, Brett.
Yeah, they don't even have to live together to engage in the grifts. They could go coast to coast for the grift here. But remember to subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Political Beatdown. You get really exclusive, cool things, like you get to meet Michael Cohen over here and speak with him and ask him questions, and Ben, and they post exclusive content and messages to keep you, always up to date. Remember, subscribe to the Mea Culpa podcast anywhere you get podcasts. It's the blue version, okay? There's a version with a blue background. If you're watching right now, you could see it right here. There's another one out there that's not the real version. This is the only real version of the Mea Culpa podcast that has actual new episodes that you will get. All right, we got a lot more to talk about. Let's get into it. But first, let's go to this quick break. See you in a second.
It's funny how someone who doesn't even have a cat is doing an ad for a cat food company. You see, a short time ago, I received a massive box filled with food and a few toys. So what did I do? I took it over to my next door neighbor who I know has a cat. And she told me that she heard of this company and was actually eager to try it out on her cat, Marlo. And a few days later, it was amazing. There was a package delivered to my apartment from my neighbor with a dozen of the greatest chocolate chip cookies that you can imagine, because she knows that I love them. And in it was really a beautiful note. And it said, "Thank you from the bottom of Marlo's heart. He loved it." So I guess that the adage, happy cat, happy life, or something like that, applies here. And that's why if you have a cat, you've got to try Smalls. It's time to make kibble a thing of the past. You see, Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes are made with preservative-free ingredients that you'd find in your own fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why veterinarians.org rates Smalls 10 out of 10 for ingredient quality. I mean, as does my neighbor. And I can attest that Marlo prefers Smalls way more than his previous cat food. I mean, my neighbor told me that she did a taste test. She put 2 bowls side by side, and Marlo immediately went to Smalls. So here's a little company history. Smalls was started back in 2017 by a couple of guys home cooking cat food in small batches for their feline friends. And a few short years later, they've served millions. Listen to that. They've served millions of meals to cats across the United States. I mean, no more stinky and smelly old cat food or leaving the house smelling like cat food yourself. Feel better knowing that you're feeding your cat real food, not burnt kibble. So at this point, you may be wondering to yourself, why can't you just feed your cat kibble? Well, believe it or not, your cute kitty descended from ferocious desert cats who hunted live prey for food. And guess what? Your cat isn't any different. They still need fresh, protein-packed meals to be at their best. Now, other cat food brands know this, but they choose to put their wallets first. They fill their food with some mysterious meat byproducts, artificial flavoring, and preservatives who have names that I don't even want to try to pronounce. And if that sounds gross, imagine having to eat it every day. After making the switch to Smalls, 88% of cat owners have reported overall health improvements, and that's a really big deal. But the team at Smalls, they're so confident that your cat will love their product that you can actually try it risk-free. That means that they'll refund you if your cat won't eat their food. Now is the time to make the switch to Smalls. So head right now to smalls.com/beat and use promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout for, listen to this, for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. I mean, that's the best offer that you'll find, but you have to use my code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 50% off your first order. So one last time, that's promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. Try it now.
We are back with Political Beatdown. Always love those ad reads, Michael Cohen. And thank you to everybody out there who supports.
I get into that. Yeah,
that's good.
I am doing that on behalf of all of the cats in Springfield, Ohio, who are running for their lives.
Right. Someone's got to stand up for him. I'm glad it's you, Cohen. I'm glad it's you. Thank you to everybody who supports our sponsors. And the links are always in the descriptions of this video. Thank you so much. Also, make sure if you're watching this live, make sure you subscribe to Political Beatdown, the audio podcast, anywhere you get podcasts, because you could listen to these episodes. And people always say they listen while they're driving or while they're at work or whatever. Go check it out. It's just another way to experience it. And it really helps us and helps the channel out. I said before the break that I wanted to bring up Vice President Kamala Harris, who was with Volodymyr Zelenskyy today. She was delivering some powerful remarks, which stand in stark contrast, if I say the least, compared to what we just heard from Donald Trump before the break. Let's play one of those moments of Vice President Harris with Zelenskyy.
As I have made clear on our 6 previous meetings and throughout Putin's brutal aggression and war against Ukraine, my support for the people of Ukraine is unwavering. I've been proud to stand with Ukraine. I will continue to stand with Ukraine, and I will work to ensure Ukraine prevails in this war. To be safe, secure, and prosperous, the United States must continue to fulfill our long-standing role of global leadership. We must stand with our allies and our partners. We must defend our democratic values and stand up to aggressors. And we must stand for international order, rules, and norms. Each one of these principles is at stake in Ukraine. And that is why Ukraine's fight matters to the people of America.
And I think that's important, the way, you know, she lays it out clearly. You know, she lays out the stakes, why it's important. And she's speaking to people in America, right? There are people all across this country also who have families who live in Ukraine and live in Poland, live in these neighboring countries. In the entire world, like, we've seen this throughout history, what happens if you appease the Vladimir Putins of the world. And that's exactly what Donald Trump and what J.D. Vance want to do. Heck, J.D. Vance was asked, I think it was yesterday, J.D. Vance was asked, you and Donald Trump keep saying you're going to end this thing, right? How are you going to end this thing? Does that mean you're going to give up Ukrainian territory to Russia? And J.D. Vance goes, everything's on the table. Yeah, everything's on the table. Like, that's not what we want in leadership, right, Cohen? I mean,
by the way, am I wrong to say that when you look at Trump behind the podium, it's like the clown at the circus? And then you see Kamala Harris standing there with Zelenskyy to her right. She looks presidential. She acts presidential. She sounds presidential. There's real policy. There's a real determination in regard to the comments that she's making, this thought that actually goes into it, versus this sort of ad hominem living by Donald Trump where nothing makes any sense. I mean, then you have this meeting with Zelenskyy where Trump wants to surrender. If we have that video, let's play that one.
Nothing about the end of this war can be decided without Ukraine. However, in candor, I share with you, Mr. President, there are some in my country who would instead force Ukraine to give up large parts of its sovereign territory, who would demand that Ukraine accept neutrality and would require Ukraine to forego security relationships with other nations. These proposals are the same of those of Putin. And let us be clear, they are not proposals for peace. Instead, they are proposals for surrender, which is dangerous and unacceptable.
Hey, let me say this? Before we jump into the only thing I disagree in terms of what Kamala just said, it's not large swaths of land in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is hell-bent on taking every single inch of Ukraine and putting it back under Russia's control. His goal is to reform the former Soviet Union. That's his goal. And it's why Poland right now is as nervous as anyone, because the second that Donald Trump would, God forbid, a million times become president, he pulls out of NATO. They stop funding Zelenskyy. He gives the green light to Vladimir Putin, so long as Putin buys one of those $100,000 watches. All right. And then turns around. And then what's next? What's on the border of Ukraine? Poland. All right. And Poland knows that they cannot afford, and they are not militarily equipped within which to fight now the former Soviet Union or Russia. And he's going to continue moving on and on and on. And he's going to destabilize Eastern Europe. We've seen it before.
We've seen it before, as they say, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it rhymes. We had Actually, when we did our brother's Patreon Zoom Q&A about a week or so ago, we had somebody who was on who was there from Poland. It was like the middle of the night, and they were there. They were a big fan of you, Michael. They were a big fan of the network, big fan of the shows. And we asked them, what do you like about the shows and stuff? And they said that they have to keep up with all the comings and goings of American politics because it so directly impacts them. Like all of this
tomorrow. By the way, I'm leaving tomorrow, Brett, for Italy, because they want me to come there to have the conversation in person with Massimo Giletti on their big news channel there. They are the whole world is concerned right now. The only ones who aren't are Putin, Xi Jinping, Mohammed bin Salman, Kim Jong-un, and Orban. Everybody else is concerned.
No, it's absolutely outrageous. And I think it's just all the more absurd that like the difference, the contrast in these candidates, the moral character, like just the grifts, everything that is going on, it really could not be clearer. And I know like when I speak to people who listen from like Canada and things like that, they go like, I don't get it. Like, what the hell is going on over there? Like, how is this thing even close? And it's just so batshit to me. And I know to so many people that it's even like a decision, at this point. But I mean, this is just another example of how kind of off the deep end things have gotten. And I said, hopefully we'd have time to speak a little bit about this crazy Melania interview, because Cohen, I got to get your reaction to this. But Melania Trump was on Fox while Donald Trump was doing his $100,000 watch grift. Melania Trump was out there grifting her new book, which, as you remember, she was advertising on her account about a week or so ago, posting about her nudes and defending her nude modeling work. And like, it's like nobody really asked you, Melania. Here's the post that she did last week. Why do I stand proudly behind my nude modeling work? And this is when she was ramping up this campaign for her book. And then she appeared on Fox, which Fox is just $787 million meant nothing to them. They are just right back into being like 100% propagandists for Donald Trump and his entire family. They are just the Trump network. And they had this embarrassing interview, to say the least, with Melania Trump. And Melania, despite living in a completely other state, I'm not even sure the last time she's necessarily even seen Donald, was going on Fox about how Donald is this amazing family man, just a great family man, if we have this.
And mainstream media branding him as a threat to democracy, calling him vile names. They only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. The country needs to unite. And I encourage everybody to read my letter that I wrote on July 14 again, because that cannot continue.
Letter was very powerful. What made you get to the point of writing that letter?
That's how I felt. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt.
How do you feel when people say they don't like him? What do you wish they knew about him?
That he is really a family man. He loves his family. He loves this country. And all he wants to build better and prosperous.
Yeah, he's just strong. He's not afraid to.
No, he's not
talk
strong.
About the way it really is.
You could see the way he was when he was shot, that in the ear, that the way he stood up and he said, fight, 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 because we cannot allow that to happen.
Okay, but
he's such a family man, Cohen, that he has a bunch of different families.
All right. See, he's a major and a tremendous family man. Let's just break this down. If you read my book, Disloyal, you'll see at least a half a dozen different scenarios where he literally says some of the worst shit about Don Jr. that you could ever imagine. That he is the worst fucking judgment of, and these aren't my words, these are Donald's words, that Don Jr. has the worst fucking judgment of anyone he's ever met in his life. Ivanka, he wants to sleep with. Eric, he really doesn't say anything other than Eric has his spatial understanding, right? All three of these kids, by the way, were not raised by Donald. they were really raised by their mom. But more even than that, they were raised by a guy named Vinny, who was their driver. And I'll never forget when Donald wanted to fire Vinny, they all stepped up and they said, if you do, we're actually leaving. It's the one thing that we will not let you do. He was more of a father to them than their own father. Tiffany, the redheaded stepchild that nobody even knew from. I mean, if I can tell you stories till tomorrow about, she would call, he'd roll his eyes. And I feel bad because I actually happen to know and like Tiffany. And then, of course, there's Barron. Barron has seen less of Donald than any of the other 4 children, which is hard to believe as it relates even to Tiffany. So, yeah, he's a family man. While Melania just has a child, he's out there sleeping with a porn star and a Playboy playmate. Absolutely the best father. He deserves the Time Magazine Father of the Year award. Who agrees with me? If you agree with me, just hit those blue hearts. All right, let's hit those blue hearts for dear old Donald.
I'm able to detect the sarcasm in your voice, Michael Cohen, unlike the sarcasm. No sarcasm here.
Oh, no, my friend, no sarcasm here, right? I mean, there's nothing like, and by the way, the thing that pissed Melania off the most about those affairs that Donald had is not even so much about the affairs, as much as the fact that he didn't even wear protection. That drove her crazy. So you got to see her priorities too.
And her priorities, I think, are, she may not be a part of the family in a way of a normal family. She lives in a different state at this point. They don't see each other. She just does this one-off interview here. She was supposed to apparently be a big part of the campaign, or so that's what the New York Post was pushing months and months ago, but she hasn't been on the campaign trail like at all, except when she was paid for it. Look at this. I'll show you this New York Post story from April, which has not aged well whatsoever. So this is when Melania Trump did an April fundraiser with the log cabin Republicans at Mar-a-Lago. I'll get into that in a bit. We reported on it earlier, but I'll get back to that in a bit. The New York Post said, Trump campaign relying on Melania as a, quote, secret weapon to win undecided voters as she hosts fundraisers. And they speak about how she's going to be on the campaign trail. She's going to be focused. They recognize Melania is a secret weapon, says the source close to the campaign. Her appeal is critical to win battleground states and undecided voters, especially now that they've won the primary and are hyper-focused on the general. Melania didn't even appear on the campaign trail once after this was written. And I'm convinced personally, and you may have more insight into the psyche of Donald Trump here, I'm convinced when they say a source says, I'm convinced the source is John Barron, aka Donald Trump, who pushes these narratives to try to almost pressure Melania to get involved with the campaign when she is refusing. But the only reason why she did that log cabin Republican event is because she was paid nearly $240,000 to be there. She was paid nearly $240,000. And the crazy thing is, you can look at the filings that are there. The filings kind of listed, it looks as if the log cabin Republicans were the ones who made that payment. But when CNN asked the log cabin Republicans if they paid that $240,000 for Melania to speak, they said no. They said, we didn't pay that, and we have no idea where that money even came from. So there was this mystery source of funding, $240,000 being funneled in these BS speaking engagements. And I could play you a clip of the speaking engagement also to you see what she got paid $240,000 for. And that's not the only one. She was paid $250,000 for an event in December 2022. And she got 3 other payments, I think, for $250,000. It's $1 million for not doing anything. I want to thank
the Republican Party for giving me $500,000 in order to go there and to look at the disgusting face of the orange-crusted asshole who cheats on me with hooker and also Playboy playmate. I'm better looking. I mean, this is what you're talking about here, friends. All right, my brigaders. Do you understand? Yeah, keep laughing. It's the truth, right? I mean, do you realize you want to laugh your ass off when she was on Fox News? Brett, you weren't even awake. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So here's the greatest part. The fuck is watching Fox News at 6 a.m. in the morning? It's certainly not California. It's not West Coast because that's 3 a.m. The whole thing is they needed a place to put her in order to appease him. Listen, the New York Post, a pile of shit. It's good for, you know what it's good for? It's good for loading up so that you can light your firewood during the winter, right? So load up on the New York Post for that crap. And Fox News, what a bunch of assholes. They lie on everything. You sit there, whether it's Greg Gutfeld or that other idiot, whatever the hell his name is, the one that, what the hell is his name? The other moron.
Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters. I mean, enough is enough already. And the funny thing, too, is if you watch Fox News and then you watch any other channel, the only thing that you keep coming back and saying, what alternate universe am I living in? Is the alternate universe that everybody wants to buy Donald's beautiful watch with the most expensive diamonds. I mean, give me a fucking break. It's almost as stupid as her caviar, right? Pearl face cream that she invented, right? Imagine that she invented and was hawking for like $99.
And do we have the picture of Harris Faulkner, the Fox host? Just what she was wearing on air the other day, because I think they're really kind of going all into this North Korean propaganda look. And I think this kind of sums it up. As Aaron Rupar, who posted this, wrote, she's nearing her final form, and she showed what Harris Faulkner looks like on Fox. And then she was showing what the North Korean propagandist looks like there. And I got to say, the resemblance there is absolutely uncanny. We got a whole lot more to talk about here on Political Beatdown. I want to thank everybody for watching and for welcoming me to the show while Ben is with his baby girl. Remember to add Political Beatdown anywhere you get audio podcasts. It's free. Leave a 5-star review. It really helps get the show out there and helps with all the algorithms. Go to patreon.com/Political Beatdown. Join us there. Tuesday, we're going to do a Q&A with Cohen. You get to meet Michael Cohen. It's a super cool experience. And, when Ben's around, they do the after shows, and it's a bunch of cool stuff that's always going on at patreon.com/Political Beatdown. It's also a way to support the show. You could also go to Mea Culpa podcast, Michael Cohen's other podcast. He's having Midas Touch editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski on the podcast very shortly. And you could subscribe to the blue version. It's completely free. The blue version of Mea Culpa podcast, anywhere you get audio podcasts. I want to talk a little bit about some of these just batshit crazy Republicans and how they're kind of ramping up their crazy. I think they kind of see that they've reached the end of their line in the House and that they may not have power any longer, and they are just going completely off the rails. And I'd like to touch on a few other things if we have time. But first, let's go to our final quick break. Don't you go anywhere.
If the beginning of summer has you feeling farmers market vibes like I do every time I pass Union Square, look no further than Green Chef, the first certified organic meal kit company. It brings the flavors of the farmers market to you with fresh, seasonal organic produce in every box, plus premium proteins like organic eggs, sustainable source seafood, and antibiotic and hormone-free chicken. I mean, all of these get delivered right to your door. Plus, you don't have to guess what to make with your farm fresh items. I mean, with Green Chef's easy-to-follow recipes and pre-measured and prepped ingredients, you'll be serving up a restaurant-worthy meal in no time. Green Chef contributes to a healthy lifestyle with easy and delicious menu recipes like fresh seasonal salads and grain bowls. I mean, they say you are what you eat, so why not eat the best? And Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating. Let me say that again. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating. And let me tell you about the convenience. First of all, you have to try these unique ingredients and the unexpected flavor combinations to keep you clean, routine fresh from different dietary preferences like keto, Mediterranean, and more. And the convenience and the variety that you get with Green Chef, it goes beyond dinner recipes. I mean, easily add items to your weekly box from Green Market. That's the Mindful Eater's one-stop shop for high-quality, carefully curated goods. So when I looked online for options, I saw this and I was hooked. It said, what's better than bacon in your salad? And I'm saying, I don't know, what? Bacon plus shrimp in your salad. There's the answer. So listen, my friends, Go right now to greenchef.com/beat50 and use code BEAT50. That's BEAT, the number 50, to get 50% off. You listen to what I'm saying? 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So go to greenchef.com/beat50 and use code BEAT50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So order your Green Chef meal today, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
We are back at Political Beatdown. Another great ad.
Seriously, Brett, what's better than bacon? I truly don't know. Bacon and shrimp. I mean, yeah, hello, right? Meanwhile, before we get moving, because time unfortunately runs out. We're probably going to go a couple minutes over, so stay with us. But so many of you are asking, who's getting the 2-finger salute? And is
this an early 2-finger salute in this episode?
Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about the 2-finger salute. Wow. And I have to be honest with you. This is something that I generally don't do, right? And my mom will probably be angry at me, my dad as well, because you're not supposed to give a woman the 2-finger salute unless they absolutely deserve it. Like, I generally try to stick. I know it doesn't sound right. You're not supposed to care about it, but it's just me. So I apologize. But yes, I had given Laura Loomer the 2-finger salute because she is an asshole. Well, you know what? The asshole right now has to be Melania. I don't understand. She gets cheated on not once but twice after she just has a child with von Schitzenpants. He makes a complete asshole out of her. She's out there hocking her shit, including, her nude photos, right? Which she had the implants. She took them out. She put smaller ones in. She put big ones in. Back to small ones. I mean, they don't even know what size they're. I've never seen anybody's boobs grow and shrink as fast as Melania's. But far be it from me. She's a model. I guess these are all part of the model world. Something that I just never was part of. Putting it this way. Now, on top of that, she's going to sit and she's going to lie to the American people and talk about what a great father, what a family man von Schitzenpants is. Seriously, Melania? Enough. Serious? Fuck you.
There you have it, folks. The 2-finger salute of this edition of Political Beatdown, Melania Trump. But I got to say, Cohen, the competition is strong every week. So the fact that you're able to see that with such clarity, honestly, is impressive to me, that you're able to pinpoint it, because I wanted to talk about another person who's probably deserving, or is definitely deserving, of the 2-finger salute as well. And it just ties into what Donald Trump has done. Why? When we focus on Donald Trump, it's not just about Donald Trump. It's what he's done to the country. It's what he's done to this Republican Party. And I know we have so many kind of classic Republicans who listen to this show and support the Midas Touch Network, and they don't recognize this at all. And when we see comments like this from Clay Higgins in Congress yesterday, a Republican congressman who wrote this despicable message saying, LOL, these Haitians are wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere, cults, slapstick gangsters, but damned if they don't feel all sophisticated now, filing charges against our president and VP. All of these thugs better get their mind right and their ass out of our country before January 20th. That's not America. These are legal immigrants who are here helping a community. People, by the way, who were begged to come here because of the opioid addiction that was happening in places like Springfield, Ohio, because they couldn't get workers to work in the factories. And these communities, like these Haitians who are here legally, are actually helping. And Clay Higgins has the nerve to send a message like that out. He later deleted it, but he said he didn't regret it. More on that in a second. But Clay Higgins,
I had 4 middle fingers, Brett. I really do. I wish I had 4 middle fingers so I can give him a pair too. But as much as listen, they are a group of racist assholes. It is why I say every single time on my YouTube channel, on the Michael Cohen Show, it is imperative that everybody goes to vote.org and make sure you're registered to vote. Without that, there is no election. So vote.org and make sure that you get to the polls. You take anyone and everyone that you know to the polls, and you go up and down ballot for the Democrats, from Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, all the way down to the local dog catcher. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. You don't even need to look to see who's on the Republican side. They are all disgusting and they need to go.
Because listen, you have the power to end this craziness. So much of the craziness that we've seen over these past few years is because Republicans narrowly won the House. That's why we have to deal with this government shutdown BS every few months. That's why we got to deal with these ridiculous quote unquote investigations that happen. It's honestly part of the reason of a big part of the reason why the country has to go through so much drama and waste so much money constantly. And you have people like Speaker Mike Johnson who like just go to bat for people like Clay Higgins. And like these were the comments that Speaker Johnson made about those remarks that we just read here that you just heard. Let's listen to Speaker Johnson.
Any comment on the tweet that Clay Higgins put out today about Haitians?
I heard about that on the floor just now as well. Clay Higgins is a dear friend of mine and a colleague from Louisiana and a very frank and outspoken person. He's also a very principled man. And I think he tweeted, I didn't even see it, but he tweeted something today about Haitians, and he was approached
by January 28th.
Okay. Well, look, he was approached on the floor by colleagues who said that was offensive. He went to the back. I just talked to him about it. He said he went to the back and he prayed about it and he regretted it and he pulled the post down. That's what you want a gentleman to do. I'm sure he probably regrets some of the language he used, but we move forward. We believe in redemption around here.
All right, you're full of shit, Mike Johnson, once again, and you're using religion as a cover for this very bad behavior, because let's hear now exactly what Clay Higgins said to CNN about his statements, because the story is a little bit different than what Speaker Johnson just said.
Of Americans against another.
Congressman Higgins has told CNN that he stood by his comments, adding, quote, "It's all true. I can put up another controversial post tomorrow if you want me to. I mean, we do have freedom of speech. I'll say what I want." He also said, quote, "It's not a big deal to me. It's like something stuck to the bottom of my boot. Just scrape it off and move on with my life." Speaker Johnson claims he prayed about it and regretted it and took it down. Maybe he had another talk with Jesus.
We don't it's truly, it's despicable. Again, they need to go. I don't know how many more times. And the beautiful thing is in our community here, Brett, Political Beatdown, our brigaders, we've built thanks to Midas Touch Network and all of the various different folks that are on the network, yourself and your brother Jordy, yes, Jordy too, right? What we do is we built a community of people who actually have empathy for one another. We have love in our hearts for one another. That is the most vile shit that you could say. It is right out of Donald Trump's 2025 playbook. It is right out of the manifesto of Mein Kampf. It is to dehumanize a group of people. In fact, the only people who are dehumanizing them is Donald Trump and these idiots. It is not the people of Springfield, Ohio. We have heard from the mayor. We have heard from their neighbors. We have heard from the community on what lovely people that they are, what hardworking people that they are our neighbors. They are our friends. We helped them when they came to Springfield because they were going to rejuvenate the town with us. I mean, it is the American dream right then and there. And what ends up happening? You get people like Mike Johnson who's playing along. Mike Johnson's nose is so brown from being up Trump's ass. It is nauseating. His nose smells like Trump's diaper. It can make you want to vomit. They are the most vile people, and we must fucking vote them out, plain and simple.
And that's why I love that this community here at Political Beatdown on the Midas Touch Network is a community that's built on positivity and action. And, when we show you clips like that, I think we could all say we do not want to have to be burdened by these people day in and day out. We just want to go and live our lives, right? Be with our families, go see a movie, like do whatever without having to worry about these people who actually have power over our lives being this unhinged and holding our government hostage and holding our lives hostage. But that's why all of you out there in this community watching, watching. You all have a voice, and your voice is exponential, because if you tell a couple friends to vote or to check their voter registration and then have them do the same, you know, the 3.1 million subscribers that we have here could become 10 million, could become 30 million. You know, you're making a real impact on the country. So I urge you to do that. I want to thank everybody for watching us here at Political Beatdown. It's been such a great show, Mike, and thanks for letting me do this with you. I'm not sure if Ben's going to be back next time, but he very well might be. So I want to thank the audience here for welcoming me to the show. I know I'm not usually here. I want to thank everybody for your support of this network, and remember to add Political Beatdown anywhere you listen to audio podcasts and give a 5-star review there. It really helps. Also, go check out Mea Culpa, of course. It's the blue version, and Michael does such great interviews. I love this, and we air the videos on our YouTube channel every weekend. It's such a great show. Mea Culpa. Get it with the blue version. It's free anywhere that you get your podcasts, and go to check out patreon.com/political beatdown. It looks like Michael and Ben are going to be doing a Q&A with folks where you get to meet them live next week. It's going to be probably next Tuesday. We will keep you posted with that secret link. Michael Cohen.
And do not forget about the YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show. Right? I want every single one of you to do me a favor. It's free. Go to YouTube channel, sign up, hit subscribe. And by the way, please check out every one of the different assets in this Midas Touch network. Here, you get raw, you get unfiltered truth. And look, maybe some people, I know there's a few people right inside our comments that, why do you have to use that profanity? And so, listen, I'm a New Yorker. I am what I am. My mama must have dropped me on my head as a child, because no one else in my family talks like me. My dad's a surgeon. My mom was a surgical nurse. My 3 siblings are lawyers. Nobody talks like me, but I do. I'm passionate about what we do as a community. I am passionate about Midas Touch Network. And I'm asking each and every one of you to just check out the different assets in Midas Touch Network. The Meiselas brothers, Legal AF. You have them all. You have them all. So check them out, because there is no better place to get the truth. And for that, I thank each and every one of you. Again, YouTube channel, Michael Cohen Show. Some of them are hysterical.
By the way, Michael, your takes have been amazing. Your hot takes are awesome, and I love you're pumping them out every day, like breaking news, great updates. I love getting your unfiltered, unvarnished opinions every single day at The Michael Cohen Show on YouTube. And an easy way also to subscribe to all the channels on the Midas Touch ecosystem here on YouTube is if you go right now, if you hit our profile, like our channel profile, and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a section that says More from Midas Touch, and you'll see right there, you'll see Legal AF, you'll see Michael Cohen, Tennessee Brando, Adam Mockler, True Crime. You'll see them all right there. You just go boom, 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 boom. You subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. And so go check it out. Michael, thank you so much for letting me.
Great having you, Brett. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for filling in.
We'll be